y'all. It is Paula with Hillbilly Orchids. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody's had a fantastic week. Christmas is over officially. It is done for another year. I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. Mine wasn't too bad. Of course, we really didn't have money to do anything, like I said, other than eat. We had a good meal, so that was, that was good enough for me just to have, dinner with my husband and stuff. I told you Amazon had messed up my account and kind of messed things up for me, so I had to work on getting that situated and all that stuff. So yeah, all that stuff always hits you at the worst time. Never fails, never fails. So anyways, but I hope you guys had a terrific Christmas, and I hope you got everything you wanted. Today I am going to jump back into the orchids. I have to redo Hannah here. As you can see, she is done. She did five progressive blooms, and then she stopped. So partly might be the reason she stopped is that Hannah is a crawler. Hannah crawls and she really creeps and crawls out of the pot, which is terrible. So I do want to get this cleaned up, and I've got to get these starts of roots in media or they will die. So no other choice. Those roots are so sensitive. Get you on my holder here. Ouch. Oh, my hand. This weather's driving me insane, y'all. I hope you guys aren't having such a time like me. It was so cold. Like we were like well below freezing. It was so cold. Then we warmed way up. And now we're going to go back to cold again. But like right now we're on the way of warming up. And I don't know, you probably can't see it on camera, but my joint down in here on this ring finger is, oh my God. It's terrible. So I was trying to move my holder here, which is like a big, it's like a big wire, aluminum wire thing. So you have to kind of tug on it to move it. So I was like trying to tug on it, and that just really hurt. Like, yikes. So bear with me. I can't make a fist very well either with it because of it. So I'm just trying to manage as best as I can. But yeah, it's because of the weather. The weather being so crazy and all over the place. It's definitely affecting me, and yeah, I don't like it. So I'm ready for summer. How many of you guys are ready for summer? I am definitely ready for summer. Now you see that, you see those bumpies? Do you see all those little bumpies? Those are new roots. You see, let me see if I can bring you in there close. See that? That's a new root. That is a new root, and that needs to go in medium. That little bumpy there, that's a root coming out. So all of that has to be under the media. So yeah, I've got some things to do with this plant to get it situated back around. So it's time to unpot her, which she probably needs. I was scared I didn't really want to do it while she was blooming, because that's usually, the worst time. You don't want to affect them and touch them much and mess with things while they are in bloom. So, because you want that bloom, you don't want to mess that up. So yeah, I was waiting. So now she's going to kick that spike, and it is time to get her freshened up, get her a new setup, and start over again. Yep, we have to absolutely get those root starts down in moss. They have to be covered, because if they get air, they'll absolutely stop. They will not they'll not continue to grow if they have if they come out and they hit air. The air will absolutely just make them stop. So you got to get them under that medium and go from there. But I am going to try to peel off some of these old bracts so we can get rid of them. They're kind of ugly. Not nice to look at. So some of them might not be ready to come off, so you got to leave them. And you probably notice roots on this side. Yep, see the roots? See that root sticking out there? And so all of that's got to go under media as well. That is the thing about Hannah. She is a crawler. She literally will creep and crawl out of a pot and make a mockery of everything. So you really got to keep an eye on her, and she requires constant repottings. The only thing that I am kind of upset about right now that I don't have is I don't have any grit. I'm currently out of grit. And you see I did pot her in some oyster shell grit last time. There's lots of it in there. I don't know if I could really try to pick it out of there, but I haven't been able to get any right currently. I should be able to rinse some of it off of this moss. It shouldn't be too hard to get a little bit of it to put back in here. I wished I'd had more, but you know, you just kind of do what you got to do. The repotting alone, the fresh media will be just, you know, a tremendous upgrade for her. They love a new repot. They just seem to go a little berserk after they get repotted like that. They really do. Hanne Popow, she loves it. Yeah, I'll move this aside here when we stop, and I'm gonna pick out some of it. You guys don't want to sit here and watch me pick out some that, but we're gonna pot her back in some moss, some fresh moss, and we're gonna add a little charcoal and a little perlite to it so that it's, you know, a little draining. But she's got really good roots this time, which is great. As you see, she's really putting out the roots. But she just has to be a lot lower in the pot. She's definitely growing up out, which they do. That's just their way. I seen Dustin and the gentleman in Canada. What is it? What's the name of his? What is it? Oh gosh, I can't remember. Here but not. Is that it? He has one, and his grew crazy up out of the pot. I was like, oh my gosh. And he left her go for a while. I get nervous. This was too long for me to have her out of media. Because it always makes me nervous when I start seeing those roots pop out of there, or start seeing them nubbies. Yeah, so I always get nervous about that. But I try to be really gentle in pulling out the moss. And I'll actually probably take her under the sink and rinse the rest of this out as best I can. So this will give me the opportunity to stop and rinse her and pick out some of the oyster shell. So hang tight, y'all, and let me go rinse her, and I shall return. Alrighty, y'all, we are back now. Got the pot cleaned up, which is good. I got a mix of some charcoal, whoops, and some popcorn perlite here. Which I'm not going to use a whole lot of the popcorn perlite. The charcoal, maybe a little bit more of, because you know, charcoal helps keep everything good, fresh, and all that. Now I'm going to pick out some of the popcorn perlite to put in the bottom to help with the drainage. Typically what you would do for a any plant, you know. Now, what I'm hoping for, we shall see, is that I can still use this pot because she has a very nice root system, which is terrific. But that root system's got to drop all the way in the bottom of this pot as gently as possible. And then I have to look at it from the side point of view to make sure that all of this I can get, all of these new roots I can get in under media. And it appears like she's got to go down a little further to make sure that this side really gets in there. See, that is just right at level. So that'll work for this potting, but after this, she's probably going to have another pot, which is always a challenge with these Phragmipediums being crawlers like that. It's always a challenge to find a deep pot. They don't really make that deep rose pot anymore, which is tough. And yeah, it's really hard to find a pot. I'm trying to gently push that down in there. So a pot that'll fit these guys. Once they start really getting, you know, stacking up like that, it is really hard to find a pot like that. So now I'm going to pick out a few charcoal pieces, sprinkle in there. I should have left these apart. I started to, but then it crowded up my space a lot. And of course, you know, I don't have that big of a stand here to put everything on anyway. So then we're going to add a little bit of fresh new moss. And I really do need a poker to, where's my poker? There it is. To press that down in there to make sure that I'm getting it around all of those roots. You got to get it down in there. Make sure it's, you don't want to pack it, but you do want it to be down in around all of these roots. Her roots are fabulous this time around. I've had such a time with Hanne Popow. I love this plant. I love her blooms. I love everything about her, but she is a chore to keep. She really is. She's not the friendliest, easiest growing plant. She makes me want to cuss sometimes. She really does. So, and that's the only reason that I fight to keep her, is because I do enjoy her so much. She is really a fabulous plant. I love it to death, but she just don't love me. That's the problem. She is really, I don't know, I seem to have a lot of issues with this plant. I think, I mean, because they are in moss, you have to more frequently up pot them, which is a pain. A lot of people don't like that as well either. You do, because they're in moss, you do have to frequently change the moss, because they stay wet. These guys, they are really, they don't like to dry out. They don't want to stay, you know, sopping wet, really, but they like to dry. They don't like to dry out. I keep saying that. They like to stay moist. They don't want to really dry out. If it comes close to drying out, then you really got to hurry up and put the water on it. They frown on that. Ed from Ed's Orchids, he had some of his on like a drip system. They like fresh water, and they like it to go through their pot and through their roots and stuff frequently, but they don't like to sit. They want fresh water going through them all the time, if that makes sense. And that's kind of hard to do, but so that means really they like being flushed. It means they like, you know, fresher water going through them and whatnot. But yeah, so a lot of times that's a lot of upkeep for an individual to have to do. So they can be kind of a diva plant to have to mess with. So a lot of people don't want to put that much time, effort, and everything into a plant. And because I like Hannah, I sacrifice it. Now I'm going to sprinkle in some of those dolomite chunks that I picked out. And I'm also going to, right in here, I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of this dolomite. If you can tell, it actually kind of powdered up. I got it wet and then it kind of dried. So I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of that right here around the base of the roots. This should help keep their keep her base roots, you know, help with the pH, because your moss is kind of acidic, and really Hannah doesn't like acidity, so it's tough. Actually, I should have put, hang on, I'm gonna put in a few more chunks of charcoal and peat, or perlite. Peat. Oh, mercy me. Then the moss again. And I think this time too, I'm gonna add a top dressing of tiny bark, because she does get she gets very, because of her moss staying moist a lot, she gets algae a lot, like you could see in her pot before I washed it and everything. She gets a lot of algae, so she's not always happy about the algae that goes along with being moist all the time. So it's a catch-22 kind of thing for her. Now I want to make sure there's a decent amount of moss stacked around those two newer growths, because those will be the ones that bloomed last time. The older growth bloomed this time, and we'll wind up losing this growth. This growth will actually kind of sacrifice itself. And, I mean, it might take a while, and it might maintain it, but sometimes I've noticed with her, she just sacrifices it. And, but I definitely want to make sure that on both sides of these new growths, she has plenty of moss. So like I said, you don't want those roots coming out and touching air and staying there, because they'll die back and they will not grow. So right now, those are going to be a boost of a root system for this plant. She has a great one anyway, but those will really boost her along. All right. Now, do you see where I put that moss? I really stacked it around. I mean, it's not going to be level, but that's okay. But as long as she's got lots of moss up around these new growths, so that, and I'm not going to be able to put small bark on top of that. So that's okay. The algae don't bother me. I know a lot of people don't like it and they think it's unsightly, but it's okay. I'll take it or leave it. I did clean up some of my Hoya cups because they had a lot of algae and stuff in them this time around, but it don't really bother me that much. But I like things to look a little neater than they were. So, well, there you go. There's Hannah's two brand new growths. Really back in great moss, really good moss, and she's ready to start all over again, and she should take right off. Always make sure to write the date on the tag when you did it. The last time we did it was 10/15 of 23. So there you go. It's been a little over a year. So she was due. That might have been why her, I mean, you can't say that 5 blooms was more than what she was going to put out. But, you know, she did 5 blooms and then that spike's going to die. So, yeah, and maybe it was time. Possibilities was it was time. So I'm going to sprinkle a little more of this Dolomite Lime around the top so that this gives a boost to those new roots that'll be coming out of there. And Dolomite Lime, you know, is pure calcium and magnesium. Not pure calcium magnesium, but it's calcium magnesium that will really help this plant take off and get a good start. So when I water, that will drain down through and help the roots. So there you go. That is the repotting of my little Hanne Popow. The other growth that I split off of her, it did die. So she is the only one I have left. So we'll see. If she starts stacking up some fans, I could split her. So I make sure that, you know, I save her. But, you know, she's one I always want to make sure I have in my collection. But, yep, that is the repotting of my Hanne Popow. If you all have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. If you could give me a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. If you could give me a share, that would be awesome. If you could give me a super thanks, that would be amazing. It'll go towards my Hoya wall and my Phalaenopsis wall. And yes, with that said, I do appreciate each and every one of you beautiful, wonderful people stopping by and hanging out with me. And bye for now, y'all, till we meet again. Happy New Year, y'all.